Hi, this is Holly Stokes of the Brain Trainer here for the Hypnosis Summit. I am doing an interview today with Rich Guzzi, who has such an amazing history in the field of hypnosis, over 10,000 shows globally, as well as 1,000 TV and radio appearances. So I know you've been in this field many years, Rich. How many years, by the way?
A little over 30, a little over
Wow.
30 as a hypnotist.
Yeah. So it's very exciting. I'm sure you've seen a lot of things. I really believe this world of hypnosis is such a dynamic profession that it's also evolving with us. So I think it's fascinating. Hypnosis is not necessarily one of the options that we think about a career path. And people's stories are just so interesting. So could you share a little bit about your story coming to this world of hypnosis?
It happened by accident. I was a regular comedian. I was doing shows around the country. I was doing pretty good. I was a headliner, but not knocking him dead. I wasn't a famous headliner, but I was just the funniest guy on the show. I was that guy.
Uh-huh.
So kind of a no-name headliner. And I went to Rascals Comedy Club in Ocean Township, New Jersey. That was the gig I was playing that week. And Sandy DePerna was the club manager. And she says, Rich, how you doing? I used to drive from Long Island because I was living in Long Island at the time. So you'd always drive early because just in case you got caught in traffic, you didn't want to screw up the gig. So I went there early. We started chatting it up a little bit. She says, hey, did you hear Otto and George on the Howard Stern show this morning? Now, Otto and George was this dirty puppet act. He had this puppet that was really mean. And so I said, yeah, I actually did hear. She goes, yeah, he went berserk on the air. And Ed went nuts. And Ed was the guy who owned Rascals Comedy. There was five of them. He owned five of the chain. And he goes, yeah, Ed went crazy. He said, I have to fire Otto and George. Can't work the comedy club anymore. His manager was with him, this guy, Joe Miller. Got to fire all his acts. Nobody can work the club anymore. I even had to fire poor Denny Moore, the hypnotist. I had to find another hypnotist. And I don't even know why I said it. I was just joking around. And I said, well, I can do the hypnotizing show for you. She goes, you can do the hypnosis show? I said, yeah, I do the psychic guy. Remember John Edwards, the psychic guy? He would do
Yeah.
psychic readings on. So I used to do this mock psychic reading bit in my act, and people still love it. So I say, I do the psychic guy. The hypnosis is the same thing. She goes, oh, okay. She takes me in the back, opens up the book, and it was like, here's the week. I said, I got that week open. It was like 3 times the money I would normally make. The hypnotist guy got paid a lot of money. So I'm like, I'll take the gig. So I took the gig, and I said, I remember driving home that night saying, well, better learn how to do the hypnotizing show. So I knew nothing about hypnosis, zero.
Wow.
So
This
I
is like, this is before internet, right?
oh yeah, this is a
Yeah.
long time ago. Right? And I'm like, and I said, so I read this, I bought a book on hypnosis, and I'm like, man, I'm in trouble. This is all nonsense. This is not going to work. I'm going to look like an idiot. All right. So I'm practicing all this stuff that I'm learning. And I'm even after my regular comedy shows, I'm saying anybody wants to get hypnotized at the bar. I'm hypnotizing people at the bar. I'm practicing all the stuff, the hands and the arms going up and down. I'm practicing all this stuff. I said, well, I got to turn this into a show somehow. And I said, I got to practice. So it's got to be in a place where if it goes belly up, all right, nobody's going to find out about it. Like, never work in Muskegon, Michigan ever again, that type of situation. So we booked this gig in. It was $5 tickets, and like 300 people show up on a Sunday to see the show.
Oh,
Right. So I actually do the stuff from the book, and it worked.
wow.
I was like dumbfounded. I was like, how could this possibly be real? And I remember I was so wired up that I had to go to St. Louis the next day. I actually drove to St. Louis that night because I couldn't fall asleep. I was so excited. And then I did another practice show in Altoona, Pennsylvania. So I had 2 under my belt. Oh, I had 6 weeks to prepare, by the way. So from the time I took the gig to the time the gig actually happened was 6 weeks, which
Uh-huh.
now back is insane when I think about what happened.
Totally.
So the first night I'm doing the gig, who shows up Wednesday night? Because it goes Wednesday to Sunday. The first night, who shows up? Denny Moore, the hypnotist, and his manager. And I'm like, oh my God, look at this. This is brutal, right? They're going to scrutinize. And I look back in retrospect, it's a smart move. I screw up. They save the day, get their gig back. I get it. Right?
Okay.
That's a smart move.
Yeah.
So here's my plan. I'm going to go up and do 20 minutes of my regular material. I'm still a good comic. I get the crowd on my side. I bring as many people up on stage as possible to hypnotize them. Whoever gets hypnotized, that's the show. Okay, that's the plan. So I do 20 minutes up front. Everybody's laughing. I bring 20 people on stage. I literally have them sitting on top of each other all over the place. Out of the 24 are really killer subjects. They're really good. And
Yeah.
that's enough. That's enough to do a show. I
Yeah.
did the show, went off without a hitch. Those guys left middle of the show. He's got it. Let's get out of here. They left. Um, and my confidence grew. I did 7 shows that week. They gave me a check for $3,000.
Wow.
Was the pay back then. And I'm like, I never made $3,000 to do comedy before. This is unbelievable. I said, man, this is great. So I go home and I figured I just dodged a bullet. I got out of this.
Yeah.
Here's the weird thing that happened. Because I never thought I was going to keep on doing the show. The phone starts ringing. Hey, I heard you do the hypnosis show. The word, because the club was so big, it had a lot of juice. The club was, people started finding out that I did the show. I started booking in more shows.
Well,
for a lot more money than I would normally make. And I fell to the dark side as I kept on doing show. And the next thing I'm doing less and less comedy gigs, more and more hypnosis gigs. And then all of a sudden, the rest is history, And then Y2K came around, Y2K, and the world was coming to an end, because you had Y2K, you had nobody knew who the president was, and then 9/11 happened. So the country was in bad shape, and nobody was making any money. And then I went to all the comedy clubs and I said, I'll do a deal with you that if you want to do 75% of the door, no guarantee, we'll do that. And all the clubs took it. And I muscled everybody else out of the business and I became the guy.
wow.
And here, then 30 years later, I'm still doing it. So it all literally happened step by step by accident. It was strictly a goof. I made a commitment to do the show, not knowing how to do it, and somehow it worked out.
Yeah.
Now that I train hypnotists on how to do the show, I'm like looking back and I'm like, that was one of the riskiest moves of all time, because it could have easily went belly up and went bad, and I would have looked like a moron.
Yeah. So glad it all worked out, because that is a big risk. Yeah. Especially like now we have access to so much information. There's YouTube videos, there's, like even over the last 10 years, when I first started hypnosis in Salt Lake City, I think I searched and there were like 5 of us that came up. Now there's like 30. So the field is really growing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Later on down the pike, I remember I was working in El Paso, Texas, and I get this phone call in the middle of the night. And this woman says, I don't know what you did to my husband, but he was on your stage tonight. And she says, he's a changed man. He came back from the war and he hasn't slept in the bed in 2 years because he's got these night terrors. He's always worried about hitting me or whatever. But you did something to him and he was on your stage and a shift changed. A shift happened. And he's sleeping in the bed and I got my husband back. My kids got their dad back.
Wow.
It's very emotional. And I'm like, man, there's more to this stuff than just doing the show.
Right.
My antenna was up and I'm like, man, there's something going on here. People are coming to the show and getting laughing and having a good time, but they're also getting serious benefit from it. So I started adding more of that stuff to the show, and it became like the beginning stages of introducing hypnosis as a product to the generalized public. And that's when things really changed. When I started adding things like that to the show, it became it became a bit larger than life. Because people getting sick. Because then I started doing a good energy affirmation for the entire group, and everybody in the audience is getting hypnotized now, and everybody started getting the benefit from it. And hypnosis really came in. I was really doing my job to put hypnosis on the map in a mainstream way.
Yeah.
Lots of other hypnotists became hypnotists because of seeing my show. A lot of prominent hypnotists today. How'd you start out? I saw Rich Guzzi's show. So, I feel good that this we started the birth of something here.
Yeah, excellent. And when you talk about like you made a commitment to put more of that stuff into the show, so give me a little bit of kind of expand into that a little bit. Are there certain like affirmations or things that you really add into your show? Maybe even like key phrases, that we have with hypnotists.
Right. So here's the thing. I start by doing this. If I was to go around even today, and we're pretty advanced now, a lot of people are opening themselves up to like, new holistic type techniques, and we're in that category.
Yeah.
But there's still, if I was to go around the country doing hypnosis demonstrations, people would be like, what's this? Right? It's a hard sell. So, because hypnosis is still like kind of the last line of defense. It's still the kind of a last resort type situation. It hasn't gained widespread acceptance yet. But what happens in the show, if I disguise it as a comedy show, people
Mm-hmm.
have fun. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
let's go have some fun. My friends are gonna do some goofy stuff. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we lure the crowd in.
Yeah.
But then it's my job as a performer of hypnosis to paint hypnosis in a good light and
Right.
show the audience what the potential is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing a roller coaster routine, all right? And they're on the roller coaster and they're terrified. And I make it where now they think it's going to crash and they're all screaming, and all of a sudden, stop, the ride's over, and then I go to them. Today you conquered a huge fear.
Mm.
Every conquer a fear, you become stronger in every area of your life, right?
Yeah.
So I put some additional good stuff in there, and I welded into the back of the sketch of them being on the roller coaster and being scared.
Yeah.
You watch the audience's face and you watch the shift. All of a sudden, now the audience is becoming a believer of that. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
hypnosis can help people as well. It's not just fun and
Yeah.
games. And
Yeah.
then you add all those little nuances throughout the show, and it keeps on
Mm.
stacking on top of them, stacking on top of them, stacking on top. And the
Right.
audience they become transformed, they become believers, and
Right.
you actually see it happen. So then by the end of the show, when I do the good energy affirmation, I said, I'm about to take these guys out of hypnosis, but this is the best part of the show. I'm going to give them something really good. If you want to accept it too, close your eyes, follow my directions, and
Yeah.
you get the benefit too. They all bow their head, close their eyes, and listen
Mm.
to good energy affirmation, and they're all being hypnotized, and they're all taking the information. And that's 3, 4, 500 people every single night are being now converted and transformed into believers. And that is what the real message is. And I tell all my students, right, if you're going to do hypnosis, please paint it in a good light.
Yeah.
Show the best you got,
Yeah.
and you'll see how our industry will eventually change. And it won't be the last resort. It'll be the
Yeah.
first resort. Hypnosis, as far as I'm concerned, every single person on the planet needs a hypnotist.
Yeah.
You know, it should be in the same category as your doctor, your lawyer, your financial advisor, your dentist, your hypnotist. You go see your
Yeah.
hypnotist, you go see a chiropractor, right? He takes all the kinks out, cracks your back, right? Same thing with the hypnotist. He takes all the kinks out of your mind. He straightens you out. You
Yeah.
know, and every person should be seeing the hypnotist every week.
Mm.
And they don't, because they don't know what it's all about.
Yeah.
So that's my job.
Yeah.
Hypnosis World, I put it together, hypnosisworld.com. I put it together for that exact reason. Is
Yeah.
I want to paint hypnosis in a good light and show the world what we got.
Right. And that's just so brilliant. What you shared there is like taking people through like a story on the stage or a metaphor, and then you're relating it to the bigger picture of their life. Like you just conquered an amazing, you just overcame a fear. And that's, as we talk about hypnosis, the language of the unconscious mind is that story, imagery, metaphor, symbolism, and feeling. So it goes right in, and powerful effects. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's amazing how I keep saying things happen by accident, but there's a higher power, man, and it's guiding
Yeah.
me through my life. I feel like a modern day Moses. Like I'm here to help the people.
Yeah.
And weirdest. So back in the day, before I was a hypnotist, I was a screenwriter. I learned how to do professional screenwriting in Hollywood. And it was one of the most grueling classes I have ever done in my entire career.
Hmm.
But it taught me a lot about writing scripts, on getting people
Right.
to be entertained and educated at the exact same time.
Mm.
That's what a movie does. Hollywood does it the best. Hollywood, in a script, in a great A movie, will take you on a journey that is like mesmerizing and educates you and entertains you at the same time, and makes a point. It makes the
Yeah.
best movies make valid points.
Yeah.
So I said my show needs to be the exact same thing. My show needs to make valid points and give entertainment, but also needs to educate these people and
Yeah.
show them, hey, this is what's available. This is what's going to make things all better. So by being a professional screenwriter, I was able to manipulate the show into just that. So step by step, when you watch the bonus features like on a DVD, they watch the deleted scenes. You see when a scene is deleted, it's deleted for a reason because it doesn't move the movie forward.
Yeah.
Screenwriters, the symbolism and the metaphors and the story, right, are what makes the brain connect the dots in an A movie, where a B movie has on-the-spot dialogue. It just says exactly whatever they're going to say, it's exactly what the words are.
Oh,
Where
yeah. Interesting.
symbolism in an A movie makes your brain think about it and then connects the dots for you. And now it becomes your bigger idea.
Mm.
And that's what makes the power. That's the powerful part. If you just tell them exactly what it's going to be, they can reject it. Yes, no, maybe. It is what it is. But if your brain connects the dots, now it becomes their idea.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, now the movie becomes that much more powerful, that much more impactful. And that's where I try to make my show the exact same thing. You make the show just like a movie script that takes them on the journey and educates them and entertains them at the exact same time.
Yeah, well, that's phenomenal. I love how you kind of illustrated it, like from an A movie to a B movie, because I think we can all recognize what's an A movie or a B movie. And there's just more nuance in that storytelling process. So
I tell people all the time, one of my favorite ones is After the Sunset, Pierce Brosnan and Salma Hayek. They're diamond thieves. They stole enough diamonds. They said, let's retire. We never got caught. So they retire to the Bahamas. And you can see they're having lobster every night, trying to, they're having a good time. And Max, which is Pierce Brosnan's character, is bored out of his mind. You can tell he's bored. And so the girl, Salma Hayek, is trying to make the best of it. She's bringing couples in so they eat dinner together. And then Max, Pierce Brosnan goes, hey, steal that bracelet. She goes, no, I'm not going to. She goes, that's because you can't get it. He goes, I can get it, but we're retired now. Right. So then if they finish dinner and the other couple, the guy goes, Maxwell, this one's on me. And he goes, hey, wait a minute. Where's my wallet? You got my wallet? And you immediately know that Max stole the wallet because he's just sparring. He's just fooling around. He's bored out of his mind. He says, I can't take any more lobster, And then he's at the bar and the bartender gives him this drink with all the fruit and vegetables and stuff all over it. He goes, people drink this? He goes, yeah, it makes them feel tropical. He goes, well, you know what? Just give me a Jack and Coke. If it's good enough for Frank, it's good enough for me. He goes, Jack. He goes, Frank. Who's Frank? He goes, Frank Sinatra, you moron. Right? He goes, did Frank have an umbrella in his drink? He goes, not even when it rained. Right? So that's something, it seems like throwaway dialogue.
Yeah.
Of course, later on in the movie, when they introduce Don Cheadle, right, and they say, Max, we're going to steal this diamond that's coming in on the cruise ship. You don't know if Don Cheadle's the good guy, the bad guy. You don't know if he's going to do it. Salma Hayek's going to be mad if he goes and steals the diamond. But then the next scene, you see Don Cheadle on one side of the street, Pierce Brosnan on the other side of the street, and Don Cheadle's being shaded by his handler with an umbrella on a sunny day. You immediately know Don Cheadle's the bad guy because the umbrella is the symbolism. Did Frank take an umbrella? Not even when it rained. The umbrella, your brain automatically connects the dots and says, ding, Don Cheadle's the bad guy. That's an A movie. That's an A script. And if you do that to your practice, you do that to your show, the client comes in and has a much more rich experience and they can't wait to become your ambassador. And that's what builds your business. And that's what builds hypnosis, as a whole.
Yeah. That's a really cool insight into, like, you could definitely apply that to script writing or, hypnotists. We work with scripts or we add some of those nuances into scripts that we're using.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all about those little extra details. As they say, the devil's in the details. Those nuances, right? That's what makes you go from good to great.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get the work done with some direct suggestion and a good depth of hypnosis. We can get that work done. However, you want to make it excellent, do some of this extracurricular stuff. Do some of this, and now you have amazement. You have what I call the wow factor, and people want the wow factor. the advent of the cell phone has crushed everything. Everybody's not being wowed anymore. There's too much great stuff on your cell phone as you're scanning by. You're scanning, and
Yeah.
a lot of it's great stuff. There's no more. It's hard to be wowed.
Yeah.
It's hard to be wowed now.
And so what you kind of mentioned there was, I think this is kind of a tip for hypnotists, is look at the scripts that you're using or how you're writing them, and what kind of symbolism, nuances, or things can you add in that fit your client experience to help them connect the dots.
Yeah, exactly. Start profiling your clients.
Yeah.
Get really good at profiling. One of my favorite classes that I teach is my profiling class. I show you how to profile a client and sell them what they want to be sold. The guy could be, a doctor, a lawyer, a bricklayer, right? It doesn't make a difference. That person needs to be sold what they want, what they feel is important to them. And I like to talk to them in their own language. I like to talk to them in a way that they want to be spoken to. So it's just like watching a movie. If I watch a movie, there's certain movies I like. I like funny movies. I don't like scary movies. I don't like, I call them the dead teenager movies. I don't want to see a whole bunch of people getting hacked up. Some people like that Halloween stuff. I don't like it. Yeah. All right. So the same exact thing with your client. Your client might like Halloween movies. He might like funny movies. So sell them the therapy that he wants to be sold.
Right.
Sell them the experience that they want. And by profiling the client, each one individually, you can make the much experience that much better for that client. Yeah. And you give them that, you will notice how your practice blows up. It just goes to like a whole new level. You have ambassadors telling people about what you do.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So kind of along those lines, profiling the client, is there, in like the bigger audience, like where you're doing stage shows, is there a way that you bring that into your stage show?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, eventually, here's what happens. I always tell people, become great noticers. I want you to become great at noticing things, because what'll happen is in the beginning, it's a job. You have to work at it. You have to, you figure, you look at it and you analyze. It's like an operative, right, in the field, a field operative, a spy, right? He has to practice getting good at it, because when he's out in the field, if he screws up, he's life and death situation. Yeah, another spy is going to kill him. So it has to be second nature. So that's the exact same thing with the hypnotist. The hypnotist has to become where it becomes second nature to notice who the client is. And you do that by practicing noticing things. So a client comes in and they have a look on their face that you can now analyze and say, this is the look I've seen a million times already. This is the look of defiance. Like, my wife brought me here, says she wants me to quit smoking, and now I don't really want to quit smoking, but she's breaking my chops. I'm coming, right? You see the look in their eye that you've seen a million times already. And now you know how to handle that client, because I've come up with a technique, right, to handle the client who's got that defiance. So that's exactly what we're talking about here. So now some clients are just like, hey, I can't wait to try this. Let's do, right? And that's a cakewalk. Yeah. Right. But also realize what the client wants to be sold. So, I like to use smoking as this, because this is a great example. Because when somebody's like doing a stop smoking session on somebody, they're like, oh man, when you quit smoking, you're going to live so much longer, right? You can be healthier by stop smoking. What are they really selling them? They're selling them safety and security. They're selling them self-preservation. Yeah. But what if the person's recognition? Yeah. You tell them that they're going to live longer. That's not what they care about. Yeah. Or like you're saying, that inner rebel, like if they picked up smoking for inner rebel, then the smoking actually represents like self-expression. Exactly. Yeah. Right? They're breathing fire. That's an event at the circus. People pay money. Hey, I'm breathing fire. Look at this. Right. So yeah, you want to get really good at noticing. You got to become like an operative, a hypnotic operative, and profile your clients, profile your people, and get really good at it. And next thing you know, you give them a richer experience. Yeah. Then I say, get your patterns down at that point. You have all your little storylines that go along with those types of scenarios. So you know that this scenario comes to you all the time. right? So you start working with the same clients all the time. And now I know the scenario and I have the pattern for that particular scenario.
Yeah.
You know, and go right into it and it rolls off your tongue. It's smooth as silk. And all of a sudden now the experience is amazing. You give
Yeah.
them the wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's also important. I know because the field is growing so much, I know that especially new hypnotists might have a tendency to not meet with clients one-on-one, but then to start generating or creating digital audios without having that nuance of the profiling and really understanding people. Like, here's an easy example. I could have clients that come in for anxiety, but one will have this habit with anxiety and one will have a different one. And so this is, I think, is where people are getting mixed experience with, with hypnosis. Did it work? No. Well, the hypnotist didn't target that person's um, issue, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
could you speak to that a little bit? Like, how do you, and especially
Absolutely.
in the stage show where you're working
Yeah,
with so many people.
absolutely. So I look at hypnosis as two separate line items. You got the induction, and then you got everything that comes after it. Two separate line items.
Yeah.
So let's say you're doing a show, you want to do an induction on them, and then make them do some funny stuff. Do a clinical session, you hypnotize them with an induction, then put the therapy in there. So if I'm doing a show, my objective is to get the crowd to laugh hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to put a scenario together that's going to make them laugh really hard, but put them into obviously precarious situations, kind of like a school play. So fish out of water is always the easiest target, right? So you have the big burly biker guy becomes a ballerina. That's gold.
Not
Right?
relevant. Yeah.
He normally wouldn't be doing that, and all of a sudden now you got your laughter is going to ensue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, therapy is a whole new ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
I have depth of client, right? The depth of the induction, super important. See, here's where a lot of hypnotists fail. They don't get the depth proper. You have to go super deep, right? Get the client super deep, and then you're gonna watch how the work really dramatically increases. And then from there, you profile your client and then sell them the same exact therapy 4 different ways. Once you've profiled the client, then you can overweight it in that one category. So there's 4 types of people: self-preservation, money, romance, and recognition. Those are your 4 categories. So let's getting back to the smoker. If I'm working with a smoking client and the person is self-preservation, then I can tell him he's going to live longer. He's going to be healthier. Yes, I will take that suggestion. If the person is money, then hey, the cigarette company is making you a fool. They're taking your money every year.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Money doubles every 5 years when you invest it properly. $10 a pack, 1 pack a day, $3,600 times double it 5 years, right? That's $7,500. That's $15,000, right? That's $30,000 after 20 years, right? And that's only 1 year. You got to multiply that by 5 years. We're talking about $250,000 now. You want to have the cigarette company turn you that much of a fool?
Oh, wow.
No, right? So now I sold him.
Yeah.
So now persons with relationships, all right, how much more romantically attractive you're going to be when you stop smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Your breath smelling clean and fresh, your clothes, the skin color coming back healthier, right? Look.
Yeah.
Now I sold a relationship person. Recognition person, stop smoking. You know, I mean, millions of people try to quit smoking every year. They fail. They're losers. All right. They fail, but you're going to be able to brag to everybody how you were able to quit just like that. Tell all your friends, I did it on my own. Bang. I quit. And now I'm the master of my domain. So now I sold the same exact product, stop smoking, 4 different ways. And once I profile the client, I elaborate on the one that I know is predominantly that person.
Mm-hmm.
So you change your scripts up depending on the client you have coming through the door.
Right.
People learn 3 different ways: see, hear, touch. All right. So now you got basically 12 boxes. You have 4 categories of people. You have 3 different ways they learn. There's 12 boxes. So I weave them into the box. I paint them into the box I want to paint them into, and you'll get the results you want.
Yeah.
Especially if you have super deep clients. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the example of that profiling. And what are these higher motivations, why people will actually take on the change?
It will take on the change right there
Yeah,
because of that.
it's
You know,
brilliant.
it's like, when I see people talk about like weight loss, right? Listen, every person who needs to lose weight knows exactly how to do it. Eat better food and exercise more. There's not a person who doesn't know that. Even if they don't know the whole science behind it, they know if they eat better and they exercise a little more, that's what weight loss is all about. However, and I see a million hypnotists say you're going to exercise more, you're going to eat better food, you're going to do this, right? That's a direct suggestion. That's like putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound. Now, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that you shouldn't do that and add that into your session because you should. However, what about the cause of why they got heavy in the first place?
Mhm. Yeah.
Right? What was the trauma that happened when you were 12 years old and less that caused that issue? So you got to heal the cause, right? Let's fix the cause. And that's part of the profile.
Yeah.
The profile is learning why they did what they did.
Right.
And now I'm going to fix that.
Yeah.
And now you have the goals. Now you have the real, you get into the root of the issue here.
Right. And somehow there's like an internal decision where people decided, even at that unconscious level, they decided, I need this because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes the scary part for me, and the reason why I say every single person on the planet needs a hypnotist, sometimes it's not even, the client is not even aware what the trauma was.
Hmm.
They've either long since forgot it or didn't even know it happened or it was accidental.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Spontaneous accidental waking hypnosis.
Hmm.
So what happened was you accidentally got hypnotized, but not on a formal level.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be playing video games. You're 10 years old, 12 years old. You're playing some video games. All of a sudden, your parents walk in. What are you doing in the dark here? Boom. They open the blinds real quick. Flashlight comes in just as something's happening. Bang.
Hmm.
Something just accidentally got installed.
Yeah.
And they don't even know.
Yeah. That's a good
Don't
example.
even know. And it got installed accidentally. And now here we are 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. They have a fear of water. They have a fear of flying. They have a fear of
Right.
something. Or something happened on the television the exact same time the flash of light came in and it installed it.
Right. Yeah.
The only reason why I know that is from doing 10,000 shows and
Yeah.
noticing how things happen that way.
Yeah.
I said, this happens. This happens on a daily basis in everyday life, and nobody knows is even going on.
Mhm. Right. Right. Well, I want to have enough time. I know you have like a short tool that people can kind of experience this a little bit. So what do you have for us today?
Okay, so what area? What I got lots of. I can literally talk. I love hypnosis. I can talk about it forever.
Yeah.
So why don't we pick something that you think would be the best beneficial for your group listening today? Do you want you want an induction technique? Do you want a therapy technique? Do you want a stage technique? Um, a business. I mean, I do lots of business stuff. I do
Yeah.
business stuff. Whatever you like. I'm a giver. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm very easygoing with my knowledge. I put it out there. I want to see people get the most value from everything they do in the field of hypnosis. So I'll do it. I'll do whatever you like. Um, Normally, so what category you want to hit, and then I'll pick something.
So what about some kind of hypnosis or maybe self-hypnosis thing that people can do to kind of increase confidence?
Fantastic. I got the perfect technique for you.
Okay.
So here's what I want. I want you to think right now, all you folks out in Never Never Land watching this thing. I want to start building supreme confidence. You know what? You actually hit on something, probably the most important thing of all. Everything boils down to confidence.
Mm-hmm.
The more confidence you have, the better hypnotist you're going to be, the better business person you're going to be, right? The better you're going to feel about yourself, your own health and well-being. Confidence is one of the secret ingredients to everything. And here's how you're going to build supremo confidence right now. First thing I want you to do is I want you to think about a time in your life where you were absolutely amazing. a time where you knocked it out of the park and everybody said, wow, you were absolutely incredible. That's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to write down 2 or 3 of those, but you're going to take one that's a really amazing time in your life where you just knocked it out of the park. Then what I want you to do is I want you to take that story and I want you to tell that story 20 times this week. 20 times.
Tell it. So like literally tell other people.
Tell other people. I don't care who you talk to. Go to supermarket, go to Home Depot. I don't care where you go. International House of Pancakes, middle of the night. But I want you to tell the story 20 times. And you know the story I'm talking about, folks? The story where you were so amazing, where everybody said, wow, Holly, that was incredible. How did you just pull that off? We all have those stories where you were amazing. I want you to tell the story 20 times next week. Rich, why do we tell it 20 times? I'll tell you why. Because here's what happens. The first time you tell the story, you'll tell the story. The next time it gets a little better. Third time gets better than that. After 20 times, the story becomes really good. It's rolling off your tongue. You're remembering all more details. It's getting really good now. Tell that story 20 times. After you've done it 20 times, on the 21st time, you're going to find yourself a partner who's extremely studious. You're going to find somebody like myself. You're going to find somebody who's going to do you a massive service. They're about to do you a great service. And you're going to say, Rich, I'm going to tell you a story. I want you to do me a favor. No problem. You give them your journal, your notebook. You say, I'm going to tell you a story. As I tell you the story, I want you to write down everything you notice about me while I'm telling the story. And they're going to write down the way your face moves, the way you breathe, the way your hands move, the way you move your body. So you see what I'm doing? I'm telling the story, and everything I do, that studious person is going to write it down for you. Those are all your tells. That's your physiology.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're telling something amazing. All right. Because remember, you're telling one of your best stories ever. You told it 20 times this week. It was off the charts. So you tell it over and over again. On the 21st time, you get that studious person and they write everything down for you. And they say, it's very interesting. When you did that list, you went like this. When you did that thing, we said, you knocked that out of the park, your hands went like that. Your eyes, you get these big eyes, right? And you get like, it's almost like monkey eyes, and like this, right? And all of a sudden you start breathing, your shoulders and chest are going like that. They tell you all the tells. Now you have the book of tells.
Oh.
Once you have the book of tells, here's what I want you to do next. I want you to go everywhere you go. I want moving your body like that all the time. So in other words, you go to a coffee shop, you're going to order a cup of coffee. I want you to walk into that room and I want you to say, oh, last time I was here, man, they gave me the foam. It was amazing. Man, that was some cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm transferring my tells into everyday conversation.
Yeah.
No matter where I'm going. I'm going to the coffee shop, going to the pancake house, I'm going to the supermarket. Use those exact same body movements in every conversation you now have. So now you're elevating your physiology.
Yeah.
Because it's real hard to be mad.
Yeah.
And the big smile on your face and try to act like you can't. The physiology doesn't match up.
Yeah.
But remember, this is your best story of all time. This is when you were kicking ass. All these tells are like building up, right? All of a sudden, you're speaking like that all the time.
Yeah.
Here's what you do next. You now notice. Remember, it's all about noticing. You become an operative. I want you to notice how people are being affected by this new you, this new super version of Holly.
Yeah.
Super version of who you are.
Yeah.
Write down in your journal how people are reacting. I walked into the coffee shop and all of a sudden I took over the coffee shop and everybody was going wild. Everybody was laughing, having a good time. And you write it down in your journal. And guess what happens next? Your momentum goes like this. And by you noticing what happens, it builds your confidence. Your confidence says, yes, people love me.
Mm.
Everywhere I go, people are treating me like a star.
Yeah.
I went to the coffee shop and everybody says, hey, extra foam for everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody's having a good time. But it's
Yeah.
all about you noticing how people are being affected by this new super version of you.
Yeah.
And it all happens because your physiology is now moving. And it all happened because you told the story 20
Wow.
times this week. Remember, this is your best story.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Now, once you've done that, let's tie this up in a nice, neat little bow. Then what I want you to do is I want you to name the story. And then I want you to attach a trigger,
Mm.
an anchor to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I was a kid, I played baseball and I hit a home run off the best pitcher in the league. And the whole crowd went wild. And my dad was so proud of me, right? Because I was the little kid, all right? And I just took over. I just took over.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell that story, all I have to do is say baseball story.
Mm.
And that's my trigger. And all of a sudden, my physiology turns on.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go on stage. I snap my fingers 4 times. I say baseball story. Bang. I am ready to go.
Yeah.
I am unstoppable.
Yeah.
That's your trigger. That's your anchor. I call it an on ramp. Your on ramp to the super highway to the super version of yourself.
Yeah.
So now, what I want you to do from there, you set that anchor, you set that trigger up, and that's your trigger. Anytime you want to have the superpowers turned on, bang, you say it. Baseball story.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And that will change your life.
Yeah. Well, and go ahead.
It'll literally make you the most confident you've ever been.
Yeah.
Instead of like going down momentum, you want to have always upward momentum. It'll
Yeah.
always give you upward momentum at all times. And I guarantee you this will change your life. It will, because people will treat you differently. People are going
Mm-hmm.
to want to do business with you. People are going to want to hang out with you. And then if you notice how it's changing people, how they're reacting to you, your confidence will grow even further and more
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
So
There's so much wisdom. Yeah. In this thing that you shared, our mental state and our physiology really reflect each other. And the people around us are also reflecting back that physiology and mental state. So talking about this process that's pretty brilliant. Like
it's
really to manage that. Go ahead.
I put this technique together for one for my It Factor class. It's the first exercise of 100 in my It Factor class, and by just doing this one, and there's 100 of them, but just doing this one,
Yeah.
automatically raises your confidence level,
Mm-hmm.
your power, and you're going to notice how the more you notice the way people are treating you differently, the more it increases. It's all about
Yeah.
the noticing. I always tell people you got to become an operative. You really
Yeah.
need to notice how things are changing. You can't master what you don't measure. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to measure what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you'll see how. And listen, life gets in the way. You know, the lawnmower breaks. Dog's got to go to the vet. You know, somebody said
Mm-hmm.
something to you, right? Right, and all of a sudden you got that momentum going down. So
Right.
that's when that trigger comes into play. Is up baseball story, bang, you turn it
Yeah.
on. I'm not going to let you beat me. I am not going to let you go down. I'm not. There's no way I'm going down. No way. I'm not
Yeah.
going to let life get in the way. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
And everybody always asks me, how do you keep the energy level up all day long? It's because I don't allow it to go the other way.
Yeah.
If I see it there, boom, I switch it, bang, right now.
Right.
I have a million triggers. I have different triggers for different scenarios. You
Yeah.
know, I'm about to go into competition, right? All I got to do is say Rocky 2. I use sometimes you don't even use your own story. You have to use something that you know from another story. So Rocky 2, when Adrian tells him to win, after she comes out of the coma, it immediately sets. She's already getting me emotional just by saying it. All I do is say Rocky 2, bang, and I'm
Wow.
If me and you are about to have a competition, you're about to lose. Because I cannot be beat. I hear that rocky music, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah. That's great.
So you set up those triggers, and you'll see the exact same thing. It
Yeah.
works. It works with your business. It works with your motivation to be health and wellness. You won't eat any more bad foods because you say, "Oh, boom, I can't do that."
Yeah. Because you're Rocky in training.
Rocky and training.
Yeah, I love that. And I just really want to highlight this for people too. There is magic in stories. We're hardwired for stories.
Yes,
And we have often people have default stories that we tell ourselves. So I love how you've really um, identified this power story essentially and turned it into you're using repetition, a hypnotic tool, plus the story, plus just highlighting it and making it blow out other stories that we might have had default patterns with. So,
exactly.
yeah,
Most people have those default stories. Why does this always
yeah,
happen to me? Oh man, woe is me. And yeah, I'm just like that guy. Yeah, yeah. And
yeah,
all of a sudden, spiral down. Uh,
yeah,
this creates the spiral up.
true,
You want to keep on spiraling up.
for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, great. I love what you shared today. And I think this is a really usable tool. It's actually, something that people can work with and intentionally do and create. So powerful, powerful in that, what you shared.
I find it to be the number one resource to get your life into supercharged mode.
Yeah.
It's number one. If you do that, if you do the entire exercise, there's a lot of steps to it. You got to
Yeah.
tell the story times, right? You got to find a person to tell the story to. You got to write the details down. Yes, it's not, a simple task. It's going to require effort this week, but I guarantee you do it. It's worth it because
Yeah.
you will literally be off the charts.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing this powerful tool and sharing your expertise and so many years in this profession. Um, we could actually talk even more. I see some other ways to really do these conversations. So maybe we'll be back as well.
I have a million different areas I can go. This is my
Yeah.
favorite topic of my world. I love helping people, especially in this field. I want to see people become prosperous. I want to see people create a bigger impact. And that's what it's all about. It's all about impact. That's what hypnosisworld.com was designed to do exactly that. Show the helpers how to create the larger impact.
Wonderful. And just give that web address again. How do people find you?
It's super easy. Hypnosisworld.com.
And if they have a question, is there a good place to do that also on
Yep.
the website?
It's my phone number and my email address is on my website. I'm very accessible to everybody. If
Great.
you Google me, Rich Guzzi, once you put in Rich, you put in the G. Google spells my name out for you because I'm famous enough where Google spells me out. So I'm very easy to
Yes.
find.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rich.
My pleasure,
Thanks for
Holly.
being here. We'll see you next time. Thanks everybody out there and follow through on this I would call it a power story that Rich highlighted here. And I'm gonna actually take it on to do it myself as well. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.